As some of you know, I've spent a lot of time working on contracting issues as a member of this committee and other committees, and I don't need to tell you what a huge piece of your budget contracting represents. The Project on Government Oversight released a report last year that is the first in-depth analysis that's been done in a while about the cost of personal services contracts as compared to the costs of a federal employee. That study showed that we are paying contractors 1.83 times more than the government pays federal employees. And that's including taking into account the benefits package that goes along with the costs of the personnel costs of hiring a federal employee. I think there's been an awful lot of talk around the Senate about freezing federal employees' salaries and cutting the number of federal employees, but there's been very little real difficult work of trying to hold down the cost of personal services contracts. Secretary Panetta, with the reductions of DoD personnel contained in this budget, what are you doing to ensure that reducing because what's happened over the years is while we've tried to hold the line on federal employees, contracting has just ballooned. And nowhere, you are by far number one in that. Number two is the Department of Homeland Security. So I'd like you to address that if you could, either you or Mr. Hale.
Senator, you've provided tremendous leadership on this issue, and it is of great concern to me personally because it is an area that has expanded dramatically, and almost everywhere I go in my new capacity, I see contract employees obviously providing a lot of services. Some of them I think are very important, and they perform a very important role. Some of them I question whether or not we could perform the same role and be able to do it at a smaller price. We did look at this area as part of our efficiency approach to trying to see if we could gain some savings.
You know, it surprised me when I got here that not only did we not know how many contractors there were in Iraq, we didn't know how many contractors there were sitting in government buildings within, 5 miles of where we're sitting right now. And that is a huge problem, that the contractors just became task orders as opposed to kind of keeping a handle on how this monster got out of hand. We also are going to have some legislation coming from the Wartime Contracting Commission that finished its work. I will look forward to direct input from you about the legislation that we will be hopefully filing this week, and we will be working with this committee to try to get some of its provisions included in the Defense Auth. As some of you are aware, I've also been looking at the way that the SERP funds have been used over there in terms of infrastructure, and how for the first time in the budget there was actually an infrastructure fund embedded in the budget coming from the military to do the things that traditionally state had always done. That is large infrastructure. It's like, SERP on steroids is essentially what the infrastructure fund was. I know that SERP has been something that has been held near and dear, and now the Afghanistan Reconstruction Fund is an outgrowth of that because we've gotten beyond fixing window fronts to large highway construction projects without the kind of rigorous analysis in terms of sustainability. As we drop off the cliff in Afghanistan in terms of what we're giving this country of GDP, aren't we creating a scenario that a lot of this money is going to go into the category that it went into Iraq, and that is a lot of wasted taxpayer dollars on Afghanistan infrastructure?
Senator, I'll have the general comment on the actual use of those funds, but let me say this. I share the concern that you've indicated, and as we do draw down and as we turn over these responsibilities to the Afghans, one of the issues that we've got to think long and hard about is the sustainability of these efforts. I mean, if for example, in the Afghan force that takes over and provides the principal security for the country, what is the level that we need? Is it sustainable? Can this country, provide the support system that it has to? What kind of economic base is that country going to have for the future? And the issues that you've raised all relate to that question.
I got to tell you, I think that some of the stuff that we've built in Afghanistan, we can go ahead and build the stuff. We can hire the people to build it. Our know-how can provide the leadership to build it. But I don't think, and I think it's been like wishful thinking, that the institutional capacity of this country will catch up. I mean, we've got a power generation facility in Afghanistan that's sitting there as an expensive extra power generator because they can't even use it, and it was hundreds of millions of dollars of American taxpayer money. That kind of stuff, we just can't afford to do that. And I've got an amendment to move some of this money back to the United States for infrastructure, and I think it's important that we do that because of the needs of this country. And the real problem that a lot of this money for security purposes is ending up in the bad guys' hands, and we know that. There's been way too many instances that we've found it. So I appreciate that, and the more information you can give me about what kind of rigor you're bringing to the sustainability equation, because I can't find that rigor, and I've looked for it.